Hey guys, my name is Marta, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about My Hymns in the Head by Anna Kavan. This is a short story collection that's actually a compilation of multiple short stories from the different short story collections that Anna Kavan published throughout her life. It has been published by New York Review Books, which is a book publishing house that I really like the selection of things they publish. So as soon as I saw this title and read what the stories were about, I felt the need to pick it up. I don't know whether you know who Anna Kavan is, but he was a British writer in the early to mid 20th century, and he published mostly short stories, the topics of which were inspired by her own struggles and life experiences. So, as someone who did not have a very easy life, most of the stories that are in this book and that are part of her bibliography have to do with mental health, drug addiction, war, etc. etc. The first stories that we find in this book, My Hymns in the Head, have to do with the collection that he is, I believe, most known for, which is Asylum Peace, which is made up of short stories that deal with depression and mental health. It was actually the collection of stories that I enjoyed the most, the stories that were featured in this book. I overall found them to be very sad and heartbreaking, but at the same time very easy to relate to, since he chooses images that might not be very revolutionary nor new, but at the same time he gives them this twist that makes you like them despite having already read other things that feature similar topics. These first short stories that I am talking about deal, as I said, with depression, so they are filled with quotes and sentences that have to do with being alone, being denied help, and or feeling like an outcast. These are stories that are really sad, but at the same time really beautiful, and that feature a hopelessness that characterized Anna Kavan as a real person, and at the same time this hopeless that is also featured in the rest of her short stories. The second group of stories that we find in the book are those that have to do with her short story collection I Am Lazarus, which have to do with war. These short stories I enjoyed, but I didn't really vibe with as much as with those from Asylum Peace, but I could appreciate the images they created, and I could really also appreciate the way she managed to emphasize the devastation that was going on in World War II. Thirdly, we have a few stories from A Brick Grime Field, which is a short story collection that characterizes itself for its fantastic elements and surrealness. These were the group of stories that I enjoyed the most after those in Asylum Peace. I am usually very fascinated by the use of surreal elements and the fantastical in short stories, so those were ones that I already expected to like even before getting into them. You can really see in them how she was inspired by the rest of the surrealists that had been writing throughout the century, and you will most likely enjoy them if you like works by, for example, Leonora Carrington, which is an author that I first read earlier in the year and whose tales I also really enjoyed. Last, we have two other stories in the collection, which are Julian de Bazooka and Starting a Career. When it comes to Julian de Bazooka, this is a short story that deals with addiction, and it's part of a short story collection with the same title that deals with the same topic. It's a story that you can see how personal it was for the author, and a story which features the struggles of an addict. And lastly, when it comes to starting a career, the back of the book says that it is a story that was first published in this collection, which I did not know, but it's a story that is very sci-fi-esque, it's very fantastical and very dystopian in a way, which was an element that was also sadly featured in Julian de Bazooka, and which was something that I really enjoyed, as I really like its bizarreness. So now that I gave even a brief overview of everything that's featured in the book, I want to briefly talk about the writing style of Anna Kavan's work. Anna Kavan's writing style is very poetic, so I think that it's an author that you are going to really like if you like pretty language, if you like to see metaphors, not only in written form, but also in the imaginary she creates. Her writing style is also very fantastical. As I said, she has many stories that are either surreal, sci-fi-esque, or that feature fantastic elements, and those are things that are present, I believe, in most stories from this collection, even in those that have to do with mental health related issues, since they are sometimes set in these places that do not really exist or that are not exactly named in the story. When it comes to her creation of characters, as the introduction in the book said, these characters from Anna Kavan's short stories sometimes remain nameless, which I personally believe gives them not only this universality which might help you relate to them, but which also allows them to be interpreted as personal, semi-autobiographical works written by the author. The stories, as I said, feel most of the times very personal. A lot of them are written in first person, so it's not so hard to establish a parallelism between the narrator's voice and that of the author. So overall, what do I think of the short story collection and how do I feel about Anna Kavan? Personally, I found the short story collection to be an entertaining and good read. I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoy the variety of themes she dived into in the multiple short stories, and I really like her style and her way of telling them. I also really like how she talked about these things that are pretty universal and that are found in many other literary works, but at the same time she managed to make them her own and introduce a personal style that is different from that of other authors. I also really enjoyed the quotableness of some stories. There are multiple lines in the book that I underlined because I could either relate to or found them to be very beautiful. And as someone who really likes to read things with pretty writing, I felt like that was a very strong point of Anna Kavan as a writer. So would I recommend this book? I would say yes, especially if you are interested in Anna Kavan as an author, since you are not committing to a single short story collection, but you are getting an overview of everything she has written, and from there you can choose what you want to read by her. I personally own another book by her, Ice, which I am hoping to read this winter, and I would really like to see how it compares to the short story collection, because I believe that one is very sci-fi-esque, and you can see in this book how he started to dive more into sci-fi and fantasy as the years went on and as she developed as an author. So yeah, I believe that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you read anything by Anna Kavan. If you've read this short story collection, tell me down below which short story or which collection of short stories that was featured in the book was your favorite. Give this video a like if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. And I hope you guys gone amazing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!